boosters and boxes, the outdoors, gear and equipment, and other fun things and places. Before we get started, hit like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Ding! Thank you for watching. Now today, my dad's gonna bore you about a bunch of different things about wax.
Well, thank you for that amazing introduction, Miraculous Girl, and thank you everyone for joining us again here on Exploring It All. Well, as promised, I have done some research into waxes, and one thing that I have found out about waxes is there's a lot of variations, and then there is also some things that are not as strange as you might think. But anyway, so the first thing I wanted to tell you guys is just a couple little notes about wax. You have paraffin wax. That's this right here. I have big boxes of paraffin wax. You use it for candles and stuff, but it's also it's made from synthetics, palm oil, vegetable oil, and it's used for coating fruits in the grocery store, making candles. It's used on candy, all kinds of different things. Then there's carnauba wax, and it's made from palm, the carnauba palm, and it's used for things like coating cheese. And this is from cheese right here. It's primarily from Brazil. And then you have beeswax, yellow beeswax, like this. And beeswax comes from bees, basically. I mean, it does. It comes from bees. Then you have candela wax. That comes from a shrub in Mexico. It's used a lot in things like lip balms and chapstick and stuff. Although, also, it's usually mixed with beeswax and things like that. Beeswax is used for candles. It's supposed to burn longer and brighter. It's used for stopping bleeding in surgeries on bones or something like that, and in furniture polishes and things of that sort. Anyway, that's kind of a little briefing about waxes, but what makes them different and more expensive and things of that, and that's kind of why what led me to wanting to do this little bit of research into the wax, because in our recent battle box, we received this Axe wax. It was $22 for this 2-ounce can of the Axe wax, which I've used on a few different things now. So I thought, well, hey, let's compare and find out what's the difference between some of these waxes. And it's not as much comparing them as it is finding out what is the difference. Was $22 a high price or a low price for this Axe wax? I didn't know. I really didn't. It seemed like a lot at the time, but with today's economy, for starters, maybe not so much. So let's get into it here real quick. So we'll start with the Axe wax. Now, I don't know what this one specifically is made with. I can tell you it's probably made with beeswax, and then it's got some oils in here, and I don't know, and that will add to the smell. And at first, this didn't have a lot of smell to me, and then it kind of, once I dug into it a little bit, I started noticing a smell. And they tout this as being an all-purpose wax, and it's made in Oregon, by the way. And you can use it for wood, which I used it on this, and it still has some. I thought, hey, I'm going to try this out. This is an olive wood spoon here, wooden spoon and I was going to get out my other one but I don't think I need to, but this was starting to lighten up a little bit and stuff, and there's a couple of spots that I missed a little bit. I like this wood spoon, use it in the kitchen, so there's that. but you can use it to coat the wood and help rejuvenate it or protect it from the water from penetrating deeply into it when you're washing it and using it and things of that sort. And then, so I used it for that, but I also used it, and I just did, I haven't even wiped it off yet, on this watch band here. It's leather, and I used it on that. I just changed the battery out in this. I like knives. I have a few watches. I'm one of those people that still wears a watch. I don't depend on just the phone. I have a watch attached to my wrist. So it will work on. Now, one thing I found out when I was researching all of this is when it comes to restoring leather, the wax protects it, but the wax isn't going to restore it. You want to use some sort of leather conditioner on your leathers before you try and then after you've conditioned it and everything, then you are going to want to put some wax on it to help kind of protect it and stuff. But as you can see with this one, it's kind of brought a little bit of oomph and bang out of that watch band a little bit, so that's pretty cool. Happy with that. Like I said, just changed my battery out. So there's that. And then without going into it too deeply, you like I said, you have this. Now, this one lip balm here, obviously I got this at Knott's Berry Farm. It has a little bit of boysenberry flavor in it. And it says right on here, it's made out of beeswax, cocoa butter, oils, coconut, and sweet almond and boysenberry flavor, and stevia. So in a pinch, I mean, you could probably use this on your leather as well. Although it's tasty on your lips. Anyway, so the boysenberry, and I order these little lip balms. I have a big bag of these little mini ones that we throw in various, we're here in California, and either that or the wind and the cold, even in wintertime, it's always nice to have a little tiny bit. And one thing about these, this is just a push-up one, little tiny chapstick. And this is tea tree oil, but these are great. But that's gonna be made out of that. In this one, it doesn't say, but it's probably going to be made out of that candela wax. And so one thing about the wax is the paraffin, it just depends, but they tend to be food safe. The wax itself, it's what you add into it that tends to change it up. But anyway, so that's our lip balm ones. Now, these waxes here, like the Axe wax, have oils and stuff added to them, so they tend to be softer. And because of the oils also, that's what allows them to protect the steel when you put them on blades or handles and things like that. So that's kind of why this is an all-purpose one. You can use it on your products that you're going to use in food and whatnot. I ordered this other one here that's made with beeswax and walnut oil. It's very similar. It has a different smell. It's a softer wax. It's about 1.58 ounces, and it was $14. It came with this little applicator, if you want to call it that. I would say more of a prep thing to clean off whatever you're doing it with. But these were very similar in how they're made. They got oil and wax in it, and they're multi-purpose. This also is listed as being food safe in it as well. I believe this may have got it from Pathfinder. The Fix and Wax here, I think it's beeswax. It tends to be harder, so it might be a combination of beeswax. I'm not sure how hard just plain beeswax is. As you can see, this one's in a little applicator type of setup. You can put it on zippers, you can put it on your handles, you can put it on canvas, any of those types of things. And here's some that, I think I got this from them as well, but just came in a container. And I've decided I'm going to put it in one of these little tins and then put the lid on it. And I'll heat that up a little bit so it melts down in there. But, yeah, so anyway, because you notice these tins, and I got a whole bunch of these tins. I might even split that in half and put it in two, that I got off of Amazon. So I got the paraffin wax, and you know, I'm going to throw out there too, obviously these are food safe waxes from cheese. I take and throw these in a can in the window and melt them down, and then you can kind of just gently heat that on the stove and melt it down and get them all melted up. And I use these cotton rounds here to make fire starters, and just dip these in there, kind of fluff them up a little bit, dip them in there, and put them on some wax paper, let them dry, and you can put those in those tins and you can make your own fire starters. I did a video on it. It was a lot of fun. Miraculous Girl and I did that, and it was fun. But I like to repurpose stuff, and so you got that wax. It's a great fire starter. And you know, most places for a tin of 5 of these will charge you $10, so you can make your own. So you have that. Now these fabric waxes. This one came in Battle Box. This is actually the second one I got from them. I used up the first one waxing a canvas bag. Tend to be a lot harder, and I'm sure that this has beeswax, and it says beeswax and a blend of plant-based waxes and oils. So there you go. And again, the other things they're adding to it probably just help add to the integrity of the wax a little bit. This Apaco wax, I've had a few of these, and I got a few more. I think it's just paraffin wax. It doesn't say on here what it's made from, but I bet it's just paraffin wax. It's a little clearer than my paraffin wax that I got right here. But I've used this on canvas as well. In fact, I used it on this canvas right here, and this is completely, and if you go drip some water on this, it will bead right off. It really will. So waxing, and this is just cotton, and it didn't make it extra stiff or anything like that. It's just cotton. I keep this one in my trunk if I need to change a tire or something, get under the car. I don't have to lay down on the dirty ground, and you can just brush the dirt right off that because of the wax coating. So, but these waxes, these fabric waxes, tend to be a little bit harder, and so it's a little bit harder to apply it to things like wood handles, and here's another, like the wood spoons. I suspect you probably could. It's just a little bit harder to do, and as long as there's nothing toxic in it, you can do whatever you want. You know, that's the main thing, is make sure there's nothing toxic in there. And then I also found even a recipe here. Basically just use a double boiler, and you heat a mixture of, this one calls for, now you would not want to use this one on the, this is not food safe, but 3/4 cup of beeswax and 1/2 cup of boiled linseed oil, and heat it up over some water in a double boiler kind of setup. And once it's all melted and blended together, just pour it in whatever containers, be it a mason jar or mini mason jars or anything like that, and use it on protecting blades and things like that. I got this from Alexis Outdoors, and she got it from somebody else and posted it on her website. She's a bushcraft girl up in Canada. This other one I got here is called Bardak, by the way. It's walnut oil and beeswax. It costs $14. I got it off Amazon. It's made in Bosnia. I didn't know that until after I got it, and it says made in B&N, and I had to look up where B&N was, and that's when I found out B&N was in Bosnia. So anyway, so that's kind of what I found out about waxes. And for Chet, I have to say, they take this food grade style waxes and they make this into lips, and that's where your wax lips come from. For you, Chet, there you go, some wax lips, and then they fill that up with liquids, and the kids bite it, or you, and enjoy. So here's the wax lip for Chet. I think he'll enjoy that. Anyway, I hope I answered the questions. I want to thank, one last thing. Joshua mentioned Walrus Oil Products, which is a brand. And I looked up theirs, and theirs would work great. And theirs seems to be very similar to like the Axe Wax in this one. It's funny. One thing I noticed on their website is they had all of these different, leather wax treatment. It was leather and then wood axe treatment and stuff. And then when I started looking at the ingredients of their waxes, they were the same. So this one's called axe wax, but you could actually have one called wood wax. You could have one called metal wax. And they're pretty much all the same. Wood spoon restoration wax. They just are calling it a different name. It looks like a great product. Their prices are just as good as this one. I think that one was made in Oregon as well. And then also William, and I'm not throwing out their last names. William mentioned one called Hildre, Hildre, Hildre Old Alaskan Axe Wax. And it's not really a company. I started looking it up. I mean, it is a company, but he doesn't have a store or anything. He has an Etsy shop, and I couldn't find anything available on that one. But he does sell, and this guy actually restores old axes and stuff. It's one of the things that he does. So that's what that one was about. But again, I don't know what his stuff. I couldn't find his wax. It wasn't available in the store right then, so I couldn't find out what was in his waxes. But I imagine it's probably a blend of beeswax and oils, because that's what most of these waxes tend to be, is a blend of beeswax and oils. So, and your paraffin, which are synthetic ones, and other stuff, tend to be a little bit harder. That's the differences in the wax. Anyway, guys, that's what I found out. If you have any questions, or if there's anything I missed, or there's something I'm wrong about, go ahead and throw it in the comments. I'm not an expert on any of this. This is just what I found out in my research, and I'm passing it along. I thought it would be interesting for people, because it's not a subject that's talked about a lot. But I have gotten wax, I've gotten wax 1, 2, 3 different times in boxes, and I've also ordered some from Pathfinder, so I thought it was kind of interesting. Hey, thanks for watching. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and remember, be nice to each other.